What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hi, what's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and we have some amazing topics for you tonight. We're going to talk about the 92%. We're going to talk about MAGA. We're also going to hit up on when was America great again for the MAGA for the people who supported MAGA and Donald Trump. But before I get into my rant and my rave, let's go ahead and bring out my wonderful producer, Mark Lee.
How are you doing today? Looks like you're lovely and getting ready for a big Easter. I mean, not Easter. I meant Easter. I said
Thanksgiving.
Easter, but I meant Thanksgiving and everything. But definitely get ready for that holiday spirit. Like I was telling you, I'll be going up to Mom's house probably on Thanksgiving Day or maybe the evening before and everything. And we'll spend a few days up there. Me, my brother, and my two nephews, and who knows what other family members might pop in as well. So I think you're going to see family as well. But I expect that there'll be some football watching, and there'll be also some plenty of good food and just good company and catching up with family and all along those lines. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be a fun time, and at least now I will be able to go there and not get aggravated and all along those lines. Because I'm going to tell you the truth, Dr. Anthony, I was a little worried yesterday because I think I've told you before that I am a avid football fan and have a certain team that I root for and have rooted for decades, and that being the Minnesota Vikings. In some kind of way, my brother became a Bears fan, and of course, we were beating them handily yesterday, and then they forced overtime, and we did manage to win. If we had lost that game, I never would have heard the end of it. So I'm just glad that we managed to win that game, so I can actually go and not hear my brother aggravated me and all along those lines because they tried to blow an 11-point lead. So if they had blown that and actually lost the game, I'd probably be hearing it now and hearing it for like till the end of the year. So I'm glad my boy survived and did not have that happen. And then the last thing I was going to say just really quickly is I had the pleasure of, well, two things, traveling with having some high school kids that came by last Friday to learn about history and Black history and Black Wall Streets and all along those lines. And we were urging them to be activists because there was a young gentleman that came and was giving them tours of Shaw and North Carolina Central University. And he does a group of these tours because I think he's also taking them down to Tuskegee and other places. So he's trying to encourage these kids to look into HBCUs as they get ready for their college journey. So they stopped by the Haytie because they wanted to get some history and cultural talks in addition to the other kind of talks that they get as well. So it was good to have those 40 or 45 students, mostly definitely brothers and sisters. There might have been one Asian woman and there might have been somebody else of another culture as well. But it was mostly brothers and sisters, and they are looking at what they're going to do in life. One of them wanted to be a veterinarian. I think one wanted to be an engineer. Somebody else, I think, was looking in business and social work and a number of other things. I think I might have even heard somebody say they wanted to be a teacher like you and everything. So it was just good to be able to encourage these young minds that are juniors and seniors in various high schools. But I think this group was from the Greensboro High Point area. So it was just good to be able to spread some knowledge to them and also have some good conversation to tell them not just to think of history as something old, but that they can learn from and not make the mistakes of the past. So that was a good conversation that I did on Friday. Was glad to do it, and then we had the jazz band play that night as well. So it was a good day on Friday. And then I saw that my alma mater, Marquette, actually went down to the Bahamas. They did not take me. I'm upset. They should have called me the game as well, but they managed to beat Georgia and are now 6-0. And I forgot to see where they fell in the rankings, but I think they might be in the top 10 because they were already number 15. If not, they're definitely pushing on the door and everything. But I'm still upset at them because I know you like to travel, and I'm a loyal alumni I think they should have called me and said, "Hey, Mark, we got a free ticket. Don't you want to come to the game? It's only this. I know you might have to skip work."
They should have definitely included you in the game. They should have definitely done that.
I agree.
I'm really upset for you.
Thank you. I am thoroughly upset about this. They should have given me a ticket and told me to jump on the boat or the plane or however they got there so that I could be there with them. I keep telling you that we won't make it too known because we don't want to upset your other half and everything along those lines. But we got to find some way to sneak me into the suitcase when you go on these Caribbean trips that you keep going on, because I think I'm due for a trip. Even though I think in February with this network I might be going to Miami because there's a big television conference there, and there's actually going to try to see if we can get some money for this show as well as some other shows. So the founders of this network, as well as others, are going down to Miami. I think it's in early February to talk to some of these people that got money and maybe even get the show picked up by some big networks. So I know I won't be shopping and saying good things about the All Around Show and Dr. Anthony and all along those lines. So I've already got on my mission that we got to find some money for this particular show. So
I need the sponsors. Yes, the sponsors will be amazing. I definitely need the sponsors. So I am excited about that. But I am equally upset for you because Marquette did not take you to the game in the Bahamas. When I travel to those different places, I go on adventures, and a lot of people don't know this about me, but I research the places where I'm going, and it's a lot of things that I want to do when I get there. So I want to go to Machu Picchu in Peru and, things like that or whatever. When I went to school and studied in Mexico, we went to Xochimilco, and toured around Mexico City and things like that. So I definitely want to go back there and, do those things. I love Bermuda. I love the BUEI, the Bermuda Underwater Educational Institute. So I always go over there and participate in things with them. So just different little things, even when I went to Australia, a lot of people don't know this, but I wanted to study marine biology, and the program that I was looking at was based out of Australia. It was based out of Sydney, and the cost was just so astronomical that I just decided just to stay, local and just go to, my local university at Northwestern State University or whatever. But, I do have, some other trips planned that I want to take, and I want to go, and I want to see, and I want to, complete these excursions and things like that or whatever. So, I'm all into, history and the History Channel. I sit for hours, watching that and things like that or whatever. So, yeah. So that's one of the things that people don't know about me, that I'm actually really nerdy.
You're an avid traveler, and along those lines, Macho
yes.
Pinto and everything. I've actually done some work with one of the school systems that talked about that area, and actually have a friend that is actually from Peru, and he talks about it as well. Just like I got a couple of friends from Brazil, and a fellow educator, a friend of mine that does an open mic and is also a college professor at North Carolina Central University. He used to take his students to Belize. So Belize, definitely Kenya. I've got some friends that are Kenyan and everything. So Belize, Kenya, and Brazil are on my wish list, even though I've not done nearly enough foreign travel. One of our founders of this particular network, Pod TV, just recently moved. So he got tired, I guess, of the U.S. and its BS. So Nick Palveda has moved to Spain.
Wow.
He and his wife.
He moved to Spain? Wow, interesting.
He and his wife and their dog Tilly now live in Spain and everything. So he moved about
interesting.
3 months ago. And one thing that I did not know, because I know that you've had pets in the past and all along those lines, is
they never were in the house.
Well, and not only that, but you got to do a whole bunch of things. You got to quarantine them. You got to make sure they got vaccines. I know some animals you have allergies to and everything, but if you get one of those animals that you don't have allergies to and everything,
I will not have an animal.
No animal, but apparently, if a friend of yours had an animal or wanted to take their animal, they've got to go through almost as much as the humans do, because they've got to be quarantined, they've got to have their vaccine,
yes,
to do all of this numbers, because he was not able, because it was his kids are way grown, but it was him and his wife and their little dog. It was like one of them little small dogs and everything, but it had to get had to get approved as well.
I am definitely not doing the whole animal thing. That is that's definitely not me. I will not be living with the animal in my house. And because my allergies are so severe, I cannot, be around them like that or whatever. I travel with an EpiPen. I'm very cautious when I travel. I don't, venture out when it comes to, like food. I can't really experiment with the food because I also have food allergies and, stuff like that or whatever. So I am extremely, extremely, extremely careful when, I do travel outside of the country. I try to stick to things that I know. And then I also bring food with me, like noodles and stuff, just in case, I run into, a situation where I cannot eat at one of the restaurants and things. I always pack, things with me where I can, pop in the microwave and that's non-perishable and things like that. But, that's enough about me and, my little spill and things like that or whatever, and my little nerdy side. Like I said, I have some more trips that I'm planning to take, some excursions and do some things. I want to, tour certain places. So that is on the up and coming thing. But I am also in the process of completing another internship. I'm working on applied behavior analyst. And so that's going to take 2 years. So I will be in school for the next 2 years, taking classes and things like that or whatever, doing my internship because it takes 1,500 hours to complete all that stuff. So I've already started and things like that. So my time is going to be very, very limited. And I am also in the process of doing these training videos and about to start working in my internship. So everything is like really, really crazy. The publishers are calling up. Well, the publisher is calling about my books. They need my chapters. So when I tell you that I have been extremely, extremely, busy and things like that or whatever, it has been actually a whirlwind with me. And everything that I have going on and things like that or whatever. So it is just it's just really time consuming. So I don't have time to play around and things like that or whatever. I have one more goal that I'm trying to accomplish. So this is something that I want to do, past retirement, but I'm going to work in it before I retire. So I'm going to work part-time in it and things like that or whatever. So, without any further ado, I know people are tuning in because they want to know what we're talking about.
I did have an issue that I was going to get to in that
yes.
regard. One, remember that I am about 6 even, 6'1", something like that. We'll just call it 6 even. So remember that it's a box that you need to get that's about 6 feet tall with the air holes and all along those lines, so that I can go on this trip with you and everything along those lines. We won't have to tell any of your friends that you're going with, but it's just this big box that you're going to get that's about 6 feet tall and all along those lines.
6 feet tall.
with air holes, because I don't want to get suffocated while I'm in the plane, maybe in the cargo pad.
No, maybe we can work something out because I'm definitely going to need a bodyguard or whatever. Okay. You know what I'm saying? We can definitely work something out.
That sounds
yes, like definitely.
But my question, before we get to the other issues that I know we included, this whole notion of when was America great, and I'm still trying to find out what's going on with my phone and everything along those lines, because I think you sent it by text or by email. But hopefully we'll get that up. But you mentioned something that I know a lot of people are glad to do. I've even considered it myself, even though I only have the limited degree, meaning the bachelor's. Nothing wrong with people that don't have bachelor's, but I thought about getting a master's and a PhD. And my brother has got a master's and is working, I think, on his PhD. I don't think he's completed it yet and everything. But my question is, what is it like being an older student? Because you are an older student, and I'm imagining some of these people that are in your class are just getting out of college and are doing like that whole natural trajectory. So what kind of problems have you run into, or have you run into any, being an older student?
Well, being a student who is seasoned or whatever, and because as an educator and as a professional in like both education and mental health, we have to stay certified. So we have to take professional developments and we have to take classes along that line. And so a lot of it is for me, I don't like partnering with younger students because they're not as dedicated. And so I prefer to do all my work on my own. I do not like working with other people. That has been a pet peeve of mine since I was actually in school. I hate the partner work. I hate all of it. When I was taking classes over at UDC in the business department, one of the big pushes was that we had to work together. And I told them, I was like, I don't have time for these little kids not being on time with their assignments and not doing what they're supposed to be doing. I would just prefer to do what I'm doing on my own and, just turn my assignments in, because I will let the professor know, hey, X, Y, and Z did not complete this assignment. They did not work with me. They did not do this. They did not do that. So I do not like working with the younger ones when it comes to, my assignments and things like that. I'm a type of person that I like to go and get things done and, just be finished with it, whatever. So for me personally, I do not like working with the younger students and things like that or whatever. So that's enough about me. Let's go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, let's jump in, because I know one of the things you wanted to talk about, and I'll try to find that video. Not having much luck with it so far, but hopefully we'll have it before the end of the show and everything. But I just wanted to know, what is our thoughts, because we've not talked since the election that much, but our camp didn't win, unfortunately, and these other people came in, and one of the things that they've done is they have brought in a whole lot of folks. Some people are calling it the clown show and everything, because they've got RFK that's going to be running Health and Human Services. We've got a person that's going to be running, I think it's the FCC, that has a conflict of interest with a drug company. We've got Tulsi Gabbard, that some people say is compromised by the Russians, and a number of other folks. And we've got some other interesting folks, including Dr. Oz, that's got a job. And for some reason, I didn't know that this was a qualification, but apparently it's all right to have a qualification that you were the co-owner, and you weren't even like the main owner, but you co-created a wrestling foundation, because Linda McMahon is going to be running a major organization as well, and most people will know her and Vince McMahon from the WWE. So I did not think that this was a government qualification, but apparently it is, according to the Trump world and everything. So I just wondering, it seems like every time we turn around, there's another one that's got some questions. Matt Gaetz, who had some issues around sexual harassment, they did finally get rid of him and got this woman from Florida to replace him, and I think she may have some issues as well. I think her name is Pam Bondi or something like that. But I just wonder your take on these folks that are the clown show.
Well, the thing about it is you have to understand that he's trying to get rid of all the federal departments, protections and things like that. So the people that he is appointing, they are not qualified to run the departments. Clearly, like Betsy, let's look at his first term, Betsy DeVos over the education department. She was so far removed from public education that it wasn't even funny. And this lady lied about her credentials. And so she had to actually step down in one of the areas where she was hired as the educational superintendent or something like that or whatever. So these people that he's bringing in are put there purposely to destroy the departments and things like that. And what people fail to realize is, specifically with the Department of Education, these departments are there to protect you and your child. And if this department is not overseeing the states and things like that, these people can and will discriminate against your child. For those, white folks that have, these incestuous relationships and things like that, and have children who has autism and other genetic diseases, because they slept with their family members and things like that, your child will no longer be protected. And for other children who just happen to have the look of the draw and things like that or whatever with other genetic diseases, your child would not be protected. And then they're trying to say that school choice is an option or whatever. But school choice, people got to understand, you may have the choice of the school that you want to send your child to, but when those schools get that money, they're not dealing with your child who has behavior problems. They're not dealing with your child who has ADHD. They're not dealing with your child who has autism. They're not doing any of that. They're going to have that child there until that money is transferred over. And once that money has been transferred over, your child will be expelled from those schools. And guess what? There's nothing that you can do about it, because guess what? They are not public education, they are private. And even with the charter schools, they say public charter schools. Public charter schools, people got to understand, those schools were created by white people because they did not want their children going to school with Black people back in the day. And so those public charter schools are another entity where that they can be discriminatory against your child. Once they receive that funding, then that's all she wrote, because we see a lot of, you know, the children being brought back into public ed once the funding has taken place. So we in public education, and it happens every year, we have children who are withdrawn and gone to one of these school choice schools, and then the second that they get their money, they're right back into public education. So it's not a matter of, you know, if he's getting, you know, or disbanding the Department of Ed and all these other departments or whatever. You know, people need to step up and they need to speak out and things like that, because your child is going to be directly affected by lack of oversight. And you already see that there's no oversight when it comes to the states and things like that or whatever. And especially for the people in the red states, you have no rights, you have no protections, you have none of this stuff. But, you know, again, this is what they wanted. This is what they said. You know, they were running around talking about, you know, make America great again. What did you think that they meant when they said make America great again? Trump, if you go back and listen to some of his stuff historically, he went back and he stated that America was great in 65, 85. That was before slavery, before enslaved people were free, and before the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1865 and things like that. What they want is a place where you have no rights and you have no freedoms. They want you in the cotton fields. They want you back being a mammy and things like that. They want you back, you know, working the fields and stuff like that. So when was America ever great for people of color? That I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because in the election, they showed us exactly what they wanted and who they wanted. They voted for Trump. We did not vote for Trump. And they keep saying this is what America voted for. No, this is what white America voted for. And people they have to understand that. And then the people that sided with them want to be in close proximity to the whiteness, thinking that if they're in close proximity to the whiteness, that, oh, it's, you know, it's the luck of the draw, and this is something that we are going to, you know, benefit from. But they are showing them, you know, like with the putting the immigrants out and things like that or whatever. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. Mm-hmm. Putting the immigrants out of the country, no birthright, citizenship anymore. He's trying to, you know, destroy that or whatever. But a lot of countries do not have birthright citizenship and things like that or whatever. But America is one of the few sovereignty countries that actually has birthright citizenship. And they're saying that if your mother was not born here, then you can possibly be deported too. But see, they fucked around and found out. Well, they're going to find out, because they thought that everything that he was saying was only going to affect Black people and minorities. They didn't think that it was going to affect them. So, you know, you have people that doesn't even understand the lingo. They said Obamacare, which they didn't even understand that that's the Affordable Care Act. They said a lot of things, you know, in terms of what he's going to do and what he's going to get rid of, but they thought that it was going to affect Black people and they were going to, you know, harm us. You know, even with like affirmative action and diversity, equity, and inequality and things like that, they're trying to get rid of all of that, talking about people have to get things on their own merit. But what the people fail to realize, Black people have always been getting things on their own merit. We have never really had, you know, full inclusion and things like that. When we are in positions of power and positions of leadership, it's because we have earned those positions of power and positions of leadership and things like that. Let's take affirmative action, for example. You know, the Asians got with the white folks talking about affirmative actions. We were losing seats to Blacks and things like that. Black people, you know, tuition, I mean, you know, accepting rates into these universities hasn't declined, but your accepting rates did decline. So, you know, y'all trying to, you know, side with the white folks thinking that they're going to, you know, benefit you, but they're showing you, and you allowed them to play in your face. But see, we had 400 years to write the rule book and to write that blueprint and things like that, but y'all didn't want to listen to us. Y'all thought, you know, by going out protesting Kamala, you know, her speeches and, you know, her rallies and things like that was going to get you in good with this man. So all you did was put yourself in bed with the devil and things like that. Now you're begging Kamala and Joe to help you, talking about, is it something that we can do if to, you know, protect y'all against Trump? No, it's nothing that we can do. Bye, bitches. This is what y'all wanted. This is what y'all voted for. You know what I'm saying? So now that Black women, the 92% of Black women are saying that, you know, it's time for us to, you know, take a step back, because we are taking a step back and things like that. Everybody is freaking out, losing their minds. But you got the person that you wanted. This is how you voted. And people got to understand, white women has always voted this way, consistently voted this way. You know, they were running around lying. And I'm not talking to the white women that actually voted for Kamala and actually supported the Democrats and, you know, the Democratic agenda and things like that. White women voted to uphold white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they're upholding. They didn't want to align with Black women. But, you know, the thing about it is I've been seeing here in D.C. that a lot of, you know, white women are talking about, you know, they're going out there and march. Babu, go out there and march. We ain't marching with you because you had an opportunity to make change. But you chose that white supremacy and that being that beneficiary of white supremacy over what's best for you and everybody else. And because you voted that way, you have damned all of us in the interim and things like that. And so, you know, they did it in the Virginia election with the what's his name, Roykin or whatever, the governor of Virginia. They did it when Hillary ran and things like that. And I'm talking about specifically white women. So they did it with Hillary. Oh, a woman can't lead, but you know, especially, let's talk about Black women now. Black women can babysit your kids, be the mammy, can, you know, lead you in jobs and things like that, but she's not good enough to lead you in, you know, the country and stuff like that. You got a rapist, a sexual predator, a person who has 34 felonies and things like that. That's who you want to lead the country, and he's coming back on a vengeance to punish all of us because you couldn't get beside yourself, because he said that Black people were eating cats and dogs, and she said that she wanted to give people opportunities to own their own homes and purchase their own homes. But see, the whole thing was they sent a clear message to us, and we understood. We got the message that, you know, y'all don't give a damn about us one way or the other unless we're supporting your votes and supporting your platform and things like that. So because we stood with her and didn't side with y'all have a problem with it. Now y'all freaking out because Black women are saying no more, and we're pulling out and we're not doing X, Y, and Z and things like that or whatever. So now it's a problem. No, it should have been a problem before y'all voted him in office. Y'all should have thought about that then, because he had already said what he was going to do. They wrote the playbook. They wrote Project 2025. Lied and said they did not write Project 2025, but the same person that the author of Project 2025 and those people, they're hiring each other right now to implement Project 2025. So when y'all asses lose y'all jobs and y'all out there jumping out of buildings like y'all were when we go into a recession, because that's exactly what's about to happen. We're about to go into a recession and things like that, and you're losing money right and left. You have nobody but to blame but your damn self.
Dr. Anthony, what do you say to those? Because like I told you before, and I know you're not a big fan of this, and everybody's entitled to their opinions and what people do and everything along those lines. But as I have told you before, Dad's a long time Lady Love is a white Jewish woman, and I do know for a fact that she is very liberal. So she was actually one of those white women, because I think that it's like a blanket statement when we say white women, because there was a number of liberal white women that actually were supporting and was an avid supporter and actually did a lot to try to get votes for Kamala, and actually was marching the pavement and trying to get the votes and support, and was just as devastated as many of the brothers and sisters that supported the campaign. So I can't say that it is all white women, because I know for
I didn't say all white women. I said the 52% that voted that way. You had the other ones that voted for Kamala and things like that. I'm talking about the ones that voted, because people have to understand, you have to look at the statistics. So we as a Black community, we make up 14% of the population. So hands down, they outnumber us. Or whatever, white women, white men, they outnumber us. Yeah. But with them voting the way that they vote and siding with the and siding with them or whatever, we would never conquer, and we would never win. And then for the Hispanics who voted, talking about woman places in the kitchen, Well, you know, that woman was gonna save your ass. So when you back going across the Rio Grande and they're deporting your ass back to Mexico and wherever the hell El Salvador and wherever the hell you came from, remember, you thought that a woman place was in the kitchen and things like that. So this very white man that you put on a pedestal and that you said that was gonna be your savior is the very white man that's gonna take you, your grandmammy, your mama, and everybody else, your grandpappy, and send y'all asses trucking across the border. You know what I'm saying? So, you know.
But I was just saying there were some, and I hear what you're saying about statistics. And by the way, I asked you earlier, and I hadn't followed all of the weekend picks, and I'll just admit that and everything. But apparently, we do have our first black cabinet pick, and I'll just tell you who it is. But President-elect Donald Trump chose Scott Turner, who was a former NFL player and former Trump White House aide, to lead the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So he's the first African American selected to join his cabinet. And his exact quote, he said, was, "Scott will work alongside me to make America great for every American." That's what he announced in his press release on Friday. And Turner, 52, formerly served as an aide during Trump's first term and as executive director of the White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council. He helped lead an unprecedented effort that transformed our country's most distressed communities, according to what Trump said. So it'll be interesting to see what he's planning.
So again, they're picking unqualified people. Just because he's an aide or he was an aide does not mean he's qualified to run that office and to run that position and things like that or whatever. Because again, they're targeting poor people, and for the life of me, I can't even understand why poor people would vote Republican when they are, targeted by those people and keep them poor. They don't even understand that. Their Social Security checks, they're talking about taking all that stuff away from them and things like that or whatever, which Social Security is an entitlement program because you pay into Social Security when you work. FDR, or no, it was LBJ, one of them, FDR or LBJ, that started the Social Security program because people were, getting into their old age and they had no retirement system and things like that or whatever. So, people got to understand that these programs were put in place for a reason, but, y'all want to allow the Republicans to privatize it and things like that, because we can look at privatization of, the electric system. People in Texas was talking about President Biden and Kamala didn't do anything, but you got to blame your Republicans over there in Texas because President Biden and Vice President Kamala couldn't do anything because y'all are not on the nation's grid. Y'all are privatized. So when y'all were receiving all those, astronomical bills and things like that, talking about, we need to do something, they couldn't because your Republican governors and senators who y'all consistently put in office privatized your electric. So that's why your electric bills and all that stuff can jump sky high. And there's nothing that nobody can do about it because it's privatized. So, when they sit there and they vote for these Republicans and they listen to these hot lies and things like that, it just baffles me because my thing is a Republican is only out for Republicans. And that is, a Republican in a certain tax bracket and in a certain class. So if you're not in that certain tax bracket and you're not in that certain class, it has nothing to do with you. They look at you as being, inferior and beneath them. Trump, there was an example where Trump was even angry with, his supporters when they came out to support him and things like that. When he made the comment, why do they have to look like that? You know what I'm saying? So my thing is like, y'all not going to learn. But y'all about to learn because y'all really about to fuck around and find out when all those programs that you said were socialist programs and things like that are taken away that you directly benefit from or whatever, they're taken away from you and you no longer have those programs for the next 4 years, you're going to find out. But see, the thing is, it's going to be an uproar in the country or whatever, and people are going to, go mad because they no longer have their services. They're talking about, the reduction of TANF and, housing, poor low-income people on TANF and food stamps and things like that or whatever. So, y'all just don't even understand what is about to come. No, y'all have more minorities, not Black, other minorities receiving these benefits and white people than you do black people. So, you know, they thought that they were voting against us, but you were voting against your damn selves.
No, but white women are actually the figure of welfare. There are more white women under welfare. There are white women in some of these other programs, even though there's that stereotype of the welfare queen being an African American. But I've talked to some people about that. But that's only a stereotype because the actual number that is more.
You're absolutely correct, because even if you want to break it down even further, when it came to affirmative action, white women were the primary beneficiary of affirmative action, white women and Asians. And, you know, the white folks convinced the Asians to go against the black people. Now, you know, their numbers have plummeted and things like that. And even, you know, we talked about this, we touched upon it on a previous show, where the white man took the case all the way to the Supreme Court, got the Asians to apply. This black nonprofit in Atlanta was helping black women, you know, with grants and things like that or whatever, and funding open businesses. And they said that it was discriminatory because they can't do that, but they do it all the time. You know what I'm saying? But they did not want black women to have that leverage and that leg up and things like that. And so they had taken it all the way to the Supreme Court and, you know, things like that. And they got the Asians to buy into it. So, you know, my thing is with the Asians, how is all that working out for you? Because, you know, your proximity to whiteness is not benefiting you. It didn't benefit you when y'all got affirmative action disbanded. It didn't benefit you when you got the nonprofit, you know, closed down and things like that. So how is it benefiting you? And to the other minorities, let's talk about Palestine and Gaza, about the war. You know what I'm saying? Y'all sided with Trump. Y'all talking about the woman said, you know, vote for anybody other than Kamala. Y'all got with these people and things like that or whatever. And y'all was, you know, totally against Biden and Kamala's, you know, policies and things like that. Now you begging for their policies. You begging for help. Yeah, so, you know, my thing is make it make sense. Like, seriously, make it make sense. This is what you wanted. This is what you voted for. So you got what you wanted. And so, you know, the black community stepped up and supported you guys. But what y'all do, like y'all do, and everybody else, shit on the damn black community. The black people wrote the playbook on, you know, the Civil Rights Act and things like that, whatever. We were the ones that enacted the Civil Rights Act. Everybody benefited from the Civil Rights Act primarily except black people. You know what I'm saying? The gays and the transgenders benefited from them. The Asians, when they came out with the Asian Hate Crime Act, we just recently got the Lynching Act put into effect after, you know, they consistently have been killing and hanging and lynching black people and things like that, because it's hard to get a hate crime against a black person. But the second that you say something against Billy Bob and Mary Jane, you know what I'm saying, they want to say that you're hating them and, you know, you're going against the grain and things like that or whatever. We're just speaking the truth.
I hear you, but Dr. Anthony, one of the things that people have complained about, and I actually heard somebody yesterday bring this up, and I don't know your thoughts around this because I know some people that are involved in black business and everything, but one of the things that we do wrong is that, and I'm not saying that we don't do some things right, is that I think that they say that the average dollar circulates multiple times in other communities, I mean, within their community, whereas in our community, it's automatically going out. We don't spend a lot of time spending money with in our own communities. And that is something that I know a lot of black business owners, both small and large, get frustrated by, because we definitely spend a lot.
But you got to understand that's strategically done. You know, they purposely don't give us business loans. They purposely don't give us business grants and things like that. But when those foreigners come into the country, they give them those opportunities and things like that. And they don't have to pay the stuff back for 7 to 8 years or whatever and things like that. And then if they transfer it to, you know, a family member, that's another 7 to 8 years and things like that. So it's done intentionally. It's not that, you know, we're trying to go outside of, you know, the community and things like that or whatever. It is intentionally done so that, you know, the money is not supporting the black community. Let's take the Asians, for example, in the hair game. You know what I'm saying? So when a black person opened in a beauty supply store, the Asians get on the phone calling other Asians, telling them that they will not order from them if they allow black people to order their products and things like that or whatever. So it's not by happenstance that, you know, these things are happening. It's done by design. It's purposely done by design. So, you know, we as, you know, black people, we have to, although it may cost a little more, we have to continue to support those Black businesses, support, you know, the mom and pops and things like that, so we can drive the cost down, and so we can stop, you know, infiltrating, you know, their businesses. Because in up in what the next 5-10 years, it's projected that Black people will spend $1.7 trillion and things like that across the board. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we have to NAACP has a mission now where they are talking about buying Black, supporting Black. And, you know, I posted something on my Facebook page yesterday about, you know, donating and things like that, because all of the funds that we donate to the NAACP is going back into the Black community to help Black businesses, to help Black people. And that's where we need to, you know, centralize and focus our attention. You know, when let's look at it historically too, Mark. When did the United States bomb the United States? They bombed in Philadelphia. They bombed the Black community in Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying? Look at Black Wall Street. They let the white folks, they let the white folks take down Black Wall Street and things like that or whatever. Let's look at Rosewood. A Black community was destroyed based off a lie from a white woman. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, my thing is with these white women, we need to look at the psychological, you know, stance behind them, you know, how they have orchestrated and infiltrated into, you know, like certain communities and things like that, and the damage that they have done. They're not only doing damage in, you know, our communities, but they're also doing damage to their children. They're indoctrinating them with the racism and, you know, things like that. Racism is it's a learned behavior. What do you think they're getting it from? They're getting it from their white mothers, because the fathers are out of the home. They're working, you know, being the provider. So we have to take a deep dive and look at the white women and their role that they play in, you know, the racism and all of that inside of the community. What's his name? One of the serial killers. He was sexualizing his mother, you know, because she was watching his private parts and watching him. I'm gonna think of the name. When he was 16 years old and things like that. So he started fetishizing and fantasizing about his mother, having sex with his mother and things like that. And he became, based off of her and what she did, he became a well-known serial killer. So we definitely have to look at.
Was that Charles Manson or Jeffrey Dahmer?
It was one of them. I can't recall, but it was one of them. So we definitely have to look at the relationships and the correlation of white women to these, you know, serial killers, to these, you know, other people, to these children, because they are the ones that are being, you know, that are teaching their offspring. All of this is learned behavior, you know, it's being taught.
Yep, definitely learned behavior. I was going to come back to Turner just really quickly, because apparently it's unclear, according to the article that I was reading, how his former role transformed marginalized communities, though Trump has noted his leadership oversaw the disbursement of $50 billion into opportunity zones or economically distressed communities. But apparently he's better than the past person, because the past person was Ben Carson, which was the renowned neurosurgeon who faced criticism for spending funds to redecorate his office and definitely did not have any experience in housing. But apparently this guy does have experience in housing. But apparently this department, HUD, is tasked with overseeing fair and affordable housing in the U.S. Currently, it supports more than 4.3 million low-income families through public housing, rental subsidies, and voucher programs. And on the campaign trail, the president-elect has said that this mass crackdown that you were talking about earlier on undocumented immigrants is going to free up more housing. So I guess we're going to kick them out, and then we're going to put us in the housing. And he also pledged to reduce regulations on home construction. I don't know if I want less regulations on home construction, because I was actually talking to a gentleman not that long ago that had built up one of the housing complexes or housing structures, because it's not really a project, but like a nice housing area. And even he told me that the housing had some shabby material and a good wind could possibly knock it down and everything. So I'd rather see more regulations versus less regulations, because you got less.
Well, I mean, but you got to understand, this is about them padding these billionaire pockets. You know, if they can take shortcuts, which they are going to take shortcuts, because just think about it. They had that whole condominium collapse in Miami and things like that. It wasn't up to code. It wasn't up to regulation and things like that or whatever. So, you know, they talk a good game about what they're going to do and things like that. But we already know what time it is. This is about padding those billionaire pockets and making them richer than, you know, what they already are and things like that or whatever. So, if I stand corrected, I will stand corrected. But I honestly don't believe that anything that he says coming out of his mouth is, like fair and accurate and, things like that or whatever. But again, if we look at the people who he had in his first cabinet picks and, things like that or whatever, they were not qualified to be in those positions. Why would you put a medical neurosurgeon, in over housing when he's a medical doctor? You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense. And a lot of times, people are like, make it make sense, and a lot of, and I just read something the other day where they were saying that a lot of Trump people, he doesn't want to go through the confirmation process if, their backgrounds are in question and, things like that or whatever.
Recess appointments where you can appoint them in recess and the Congress doesn't even get to appoint them. I mean, kind of critique them and do that. They're called recess appointments. And yeah, he has said that he would like to have some of these people approved by recess appointments. It basically means that he sidesteps them going through the process.
Yeah, of course. And things like that. So, that should let you know right now that it's questionable in terms of who the people he's picking. But my thing is like, this man has 34 felonies that he's picking people who are dishonest in business and things like that to run these departments. So, when jobs and things like that or whatever have, on these applications and doing background checks, I think they should just get rid of background checks unless they're working with children and things like that or whatever, because you hired a convicted felon and, now, well, prior to him being hired by, his people, because that's who voted for him, his people or whatever, they made it hard for blacks and brown people to get jobs based off of their criminal background and things that they experienced and stuff like that or whatever. So all of that at this point should be out the window, because I mean you hired a TV star to become the president of the United States. He has great business acumen. Where everything that he touched went to shit. So where was his great business acumen? The Trump University bankrupt, the Taj Mahal in New Jersey, they didn't even finish it, because he's known for, getting things and not paying his people and not paying, the contractors and things like that or whatever. So, I mean, again, I really want to understand how these people are, saying that, this man is a great leader and things like that or whatever. But, like I said, when it comes to white people.
Yeah, but Dr. Anthony, the other thing that politicians love to do, and they've been doing it for years, I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat, is that they will give one item in order to strip another item. We're going through that here in North Carolina, and a person I have a great deal of respect for, Reverend Barber, and everything was actually earlier today, today's Monday, rallying against something that's called Senate Bill 382. Now, on the surface, it looks like it would be a good idea because the bill would provide $227 billion toward disaster relief efforts in Western North Carolina, which we know got hit by the storms and everything. But what they did is they did that, but then they added this other clause, which would strip the power from the incoming Democratic governor and Democratic attorney general. It would also reduce the window to fix provisional ballots after the election day. So definitely what Reverend Barber said was, I don't care what the party of the people are in Western North Carolina, they deserve to be lifted in this moment. They don't deserve to be forgotten. They don't deserve to be stepped over on, and they don't deserve to be used as a pretext for somebody stripping power. So basically saying what I'm just saying, which is that they are kind of doing that end around way of stripping some power and all along those lines. So even
they tried it before. Another state tried it before, and when it went to the Supreme Court, it was struck down. But see, that's why I tell people they have to understand, they have to read things for themselves and look at the politician platform and things like that, because with the gerrymandering and changing the the district lines and things like that, whatever, for voting and stuff like that, the Republicans have always cheated, and they have continued to cheat. And I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't cheat in this last presidential election, because what people fail to realize is the voting machines can't be programmed a certain way because it is code, it is programming and things like that or whatever. And I honestly believe that they tampered with those voting machines and they coded them certain ways and things like that. That's why for me, for example, I always ask for a paper ballot, and I put what I want on my selected candidate and I put it in the machine and things like that. I never go directly to the voting machine and, vote that way and stuff like that or whatever. But, again, like you said, stripping people of, their rights, they tried it or whatever, and it was struck down. It was another state that tried it as well on the, incoming Democrat politician that was coming. They didn't want the politician to have no rights and, abilities to, do anything to enact and things like that or whatever. But see, people they fail to realize is these Republicans play dirty games, and, they're going to lie to say what they need to say to get in office. And that's what we were trying to communicate to these communities of color and to these other minorities, that they're filling your head up with a bunch of lies and things like that or whatever to get what they want. Now they're in office. Now they're going to say, bye-bye, bitches. You know what I'm saying? It's time to go. And that's exactly what they're doing.
Speaking of bye-bye, and this is a rare thing to happen because we know how the judicial system is oftentimes not fair to those of us that are in the minority community, but apparently turnaround is fair play. And as of a few minutes ago in Florida, of all things, which we know is a deep red state, a white woman was sentenced to 25 years for shooting her black neighbor. So that happened earlier today and everything. So it looks like there can be some cases every once in a while, not nearly as much as probably should be. But this woman, apparently the guilty verdict of the evidence was just too strong and everything. So she was sentenced to, probably a quarter of her life or something along those lines, or maybe a third if you go by statistics and all along those lines. But yes, apparently the confrontation occurred when Owens, a mother of 4 young children, had come to Lawrence home after her children complained that she had thrown roller skates and an umbrella at them, which she denied and everything. So during the trial, testimony showed that she claimed she acted in self-defense after Owens had banged on her door and yelled at her, but it was an all-white jury that actually convicted her of manslaughter back in August. And definitely Owens' family had advocated for the harshest possible sentence, and they expressed both sorrow and resolve. So they said, while the pain of losing Jackie, we are hopeful that justice will prevail and that the court will give Suzanne Lawrence the maximum penalty for actions, according to Owens' mother, Pamela Diaz, in an email statement provided to the Associated Press before the sentencing. And they said that Jackie's legacy will live on through her children and that they will continue to fight for justice. So it does look like in this case, there are some folks, including folks in the Akalaz Black community, that there were some protests after the shooting, because the shooting had since sparked protests in that area's Black community, particularly after prosecutors initially delayed charging Lawrence and opted for manslaughter over second-degree murder, which carries a potential life sentence. And critics saw the decision as emblematic of racial inequities in the justice system. And I, for one, definitely think there are some serious racial inequities in the justice system and that it needs a massive overhaul. But and this is only part of what is going on, but there does look like at least there was some sense of justice in this case. But what's your take on the fact that it looks like there might have actually been some justice in this particular case, at least some semblance of justice?
Well, she got what she deserved. You know what I'm saying? You took a person's life. No matter how, you chop it up and turn it up or whatever, she took another person's life by somebody just knocking on their door and things like that. But see, that's the thing with these white women. They gaslit people and things like that or whatever, and then want to play victim. For example, it's been a lot of white women in the South talking about, because they voted for Trump and, things like that or whatever, that Black women are coming for them and we're going to jump them. But we don't give a damn about you and who you voted for. You know what I'm saying? The election is over. You know what I'm saying? But, you see how they are trying to gaslight and trying to start bullshit based off of, their guilt for voting for Trump and things like that or whatever. We don't give a damn who you voted for. You voted against your own best interest. So all we said was, we are taking a step back. So when your husband is over there beating the fuck out of your ass and things like that or whatever, we're not going to say anything. When you don't understand something at work, we're not going to explain it to you. When there's something that's going on in the community that you want to march for, we're going to let you make it. Black women are done for the next 4 years. We're taking a rest. We're taking a hiatus and things like that. So you're angry. You're angry with Black women because we said that we're no longer getting involved with your goals and what y'all got going on. Y'all got it. Y'all handle it.
It's interesting you said that, because earlier today, and I'm not going to read the whole article, but in one of the reddest northern cities that I can think of and everything. At least historically, it's been very red. But the Boston Herald actually said something that you've been saying for definitely a few weeks after the election, and you were even saying it before the election and everything, because they have on the Boston Herald in today's paper an article that says after Trump's win, Black women are rethinking their role as America's reliable political organizer. So feeling betrayed by increased minority support for Trump, Black women say that they're stepping back. That's actually the headline that was in the article in today's Boston Herald, and I'm sure that there's a full article including quotes from people in that community. So it
No,
looks
they're
like
right. It's not we're saying, we're doing.
Right, and that's what this article is saying. It's definitely saying that, and that's, like I said, this is an article straight out of, in my mind, and I've been there visiting at least a couple of times, not a lot of times, but I've been up there at least once or twice, and I do think of Boston as being a deep red, and in some ways even its own form of racist area and everything. So the fact that they're running this in the Boston Herald on the same day we're doing our show as of this morning, and there's a picture of a group of sisters that were giving the Black Power salute during the Camelot campaign. I just found it interesting. Hey, maybe they've been watching our show and they got this idea from us and everything. So maybe we got people reading the Boston Herald, the Herald Sun in Boston that are actually fans of this show. So I think we might have some fans in Boston. So if you're watching and you're from the Boston Herald Sun and everything, please let us know. You can get in touch with me. You can also get in touch with Dr. Anthony, because we like to know where our supporters and our fans are coming from and everything. So I do know that just to give you this scary incident that I was sharing on another show, I do know that sometimes people watch and everything because I sent because the person wanted it. Not that I like Fox, but the person that's on one of our other shows wanted me to send a clip to Fox. So I sent the clip to Fox, Dr. Anthony. Now, tell me, maybe I'm being a little bit, too superstitious, or maybe I'm being a little bit too paranoid and everything. But tell me how come as soon as I sent that clip, I turned on my TV, because I try to be fair and I try to watch different avenues, not just avenues that I like progressive and liberal media, but I turned on Fox, and one of our past guests was on Fox. So you can't tell me that they didn't watch the show and then see one of our past guests and then decided to get in touch with him, because I'm going like, wait a minute, I just had him on like about a week ago, and now y'all got him on, and I just sent you a clip, and I think he was in that clip. So I'm a little worried about our Fox folks and our other folks. I think that they're trying to steal from us, but that's just
well, I'm not surprised. I can handle my own on any set. I've been on, multiple guests on multiple shows, across the nation, across the world, and things like that or whatever. So I can handle my own. So if Fox want to bring it. I can. I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? So if they're over there watching, stealing my content and stealing what I say, more power to you. Continue to steal, and make sure you quote me directly. You know what I'm saying?
Directly.
So.
But I know we did not get to about trying to have it for next week and everything, but that was my phone act and everything. But we're still going to keep this conversation going. Win with America great and everything. But one of the things I was curious about, because there has been, and we only got a few minutes, so I'd love to hear your thoughts in those few minutes. There has been some people that are telling Vice President Harris to look into being either governor of California or possibly even another run at the presidency, but she is telling her advisors she's not leaving the political arena and wants to keep her options open, according to Politico reporters who spoke with 5 people in her inner circle who were granted anonymity. So I was just wondering, as a person that is in the D.C., Virginia, and everything, what do you think that she should do? Should she run for governor of California? Should she look at being Supreme Court judge? Should she look at running again in 4 years? So if you were one of her advisors, and I know you're not, at least not as of yet, but that could change. But if you were one of her advisors, what would you be telling her to do?
Right now, across the board, we're just taking rest, and I would tell her to rest. And then after, this failed president term is over, convicted felon, then I will weigh my options and things like that or whatever. But as far as collectively as Black women, the part of the 92%, we are all taking rest, and that's exactly what she should do. Take rest, and then reassess after her period of rest is over, and then see exactly where she needs to go and things like that or whatever. Because it's still in its infancy. It's still very premature about, you know, where she's going to go, which avenue she's going to go down and things like that or whatever. So she definitely needs to rest because she ran a great campaign for 100 days. And, you know, people are talking about she ran a failed campaign. No, her campaign was immaculate. She ran an amazing campaign for 100 days and, you know, things like that or whatever. But, you know, again, white folks did not want a black woman, you know, running the country and things like that or whatever. So it boiled down to race. And that's just, you know, just what it was or whatever. They're talking about, oh, she didn't reach to, you know, the poorer communities. That's inaccurate. She did. Her message was clear from day one. Her policies were clear from day one. Y'all voted based off of because she was black and she was a woman. And that was just the, you know, the final straw or whatever. So like I said,
even Dr. Barber said that, and Mr. Barber, yeah, I guess it's Reverend Barber said that because he did feel that here in North Carolina, she did not reach out enough into the rural North Carolina and possibly converted some of those votes and everything, and that she spent a lot of time in the urban area. So I can see where that argument would go, but we can carry that on next week's show and everything. But I did have just a quick question because I know we got Thanksgiving 3 days and everything. So will you be watching any football games before I hit this going out video and everything? And also, what is
probably not. I'm gonna be traveling Wednesday. I'm gonna be with the family and things like that or whatever. But I'm planning on going to Bayou Classic. You know, that's a little different because those are two, you know, black schools and things like that or whatever. So I will possibly watch that football game up until halftime because, you know, when we go to Bayou Classic and we go to, you know, like black schools, HBCUs and things like that, we don't actually go to watch the football team. We actually go to see the bands and things like that or whatever. So I'm definitely going to see the bands and, you know, do the battle of the band and things like that, and just enjoy myself and be at the game for halftime and watch the halftime show and go kick it on Bourbon Canal and do my little excursions like I always do in New Orleans and call it a day.
Sounds good, but what's your specialty going to be? Because I'm sure that I've got to get some more of those great seasonings that you sent sometime back and everything. But what is your specialty meal going to be? Because I'm sure that you're going to be cooking up something as well. Because I know that even though I've not had the pleasure of eating any of Dr. Anthony's food, I am sure that you are a masterful chef and all along those lines. So what meal are you bringing to Thanksgiving dinner?
Honestly, I don't know because we haven't talked about it. My mom was like, when you get here, we'll just go to the grocery store and things like that or whatever. So, but typically we cook ham, turkey, Cornish hens, and, you know, things that I like or whatever. So who knows what's going to be on the menu or whatever. I still got 2 more days before I'm set to be in Louisiana. So, you know, I could say one thing today and it could change tomorrow and Wednesday. So who knows? But I know the clock on the wall says that's all, y'all. So thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you click like and share, and let's get those in-state, in-country views up. I'm still in the top 5, you know, across the world and things like that. And the show is actually shown in about 30, 40 different countries and in those native languages and things like that or whatever. So we still want to garner the support here in the States. And I've been asked to come to some of those countries. So we'll see. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm planning to go to different countries because I have like different interests in different countries and different things that I want to do there. So I will keep you guys posted, but take us on out, Mark.
I'll definitely do that.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.